Welcome back, everyone. So there is a massive and largely unnoticed problem within the self-improvement community. I've been watching stuff about self-improvement, or the internet niche about improving the lives of young men, for almost 2 years now, and it has made a massive difference in my life. Hamza, Better Ideas, Andrew, and even John Doyle, to an extent, are all guys who have genuinely improved my life in many ways. I owe so much of who I am, including this YouTube channel, to self-improvement YouTubers, and I genuinely believe that they are doing a large service to society. But I've noticed a massive problem in the community, a problem that leaves the whole thing hollow and that could lead to the total corruption of the space. The problem that I'm describing is their relationship with So what do I mean by this? First off, this video presupposes the existence of a God, and I'm not going to try to prove the existence of God to you in this video. That is usually a very personal undertaking, and that is outside of the scope of this video, and it shouldn't be a problem anyway, since many of the leaders in self-improvement either actively or passively affirm the existence of a God. If you're not convinced and want somewhere to start, just look these up on Google or watch the video in the iCard. I should warn you though, that if you are thinking about switching over from an atheistic worldview to a theistic one, it has to be for the right reasons, which is something I'll get into later. So what do I mean when I say that the self-improvement community has a problem with spirituality and religion in general? It essentially all boils down to how the space as a whole regards God, or at least the question of God's existence, and by extension religion. To start, the existence of God is not something trivial. The question of his existence is not just another thing to improve or focus on like money or women. It should supersede all worldly things by an infinite amount. In the two religions that are legitimately in question in the West, Christianity and Islam, God will torture you forever if you don't live correctly, and supposedly does this to billions of people after they die. Likewise, in both, after death, God will eternally reward anyone who serves him in life, and in both, it is believed that your reward will be proportional to the amount of good that you do in the world. With these possibilities in mind, it does not make a single ounce of logical sense for God, or at least the question of God's existence, to not be the foremost thought in people's minds. But it seems clear that most people in the manosphere have subordinated God to a lower position. For those who don't believe in God, they push the question out of their minds, not stopping to examine any of the evidence or any of the implications, because their minds are concerned with much more important things like having sex with lots of women, and because if they accepted the existence of God, they would have to accept that the horrible, hedonistic way that they are living is wrong. This was made super clear to me when I watched a First Man video recently, who has been an inspiration to a lot of people in the self-improvement space. Keep in mind that assuming the existence of a God, what this guy is saying is not just incorrect, it's actually evil.
All of them, they were all like dedicated to him, they all loved him. It's like, yeah, why not? If everybody's happy, why not? Like, I've always thought, why can I not have like 3 bisexual women that all like each other and like me? And it's just like a 4-person relationship. You know, I've got 3 different women. There we go. I've got one over there who's a brunette. I've got a blonde one, and I've got a black woman. I like all 3. You know, I like to mix it up now and again. Lesbians with each other, and they love me too. Why not?
Despite how confident he sounds, if people listen to Chris on this, they will ruin their lives. Hedonism is a black hole, which is a problem that religion thoroughly addresses. So it's pretty clear to see why atheists and hedonists having influence in this way is extremely bad, even if some of what they say is good. This kind of stuff should already set off alarms for people who are ready to take these people's advice without question, and these people need to be held accountable. For many who do affirm the existence of God publicly, however, They seem to publicly glorify him little, and often seem to base their actions around their personal desires, which is contrary to all facets of theistic morality. A good example of someone who claims to be in accordance with God, and who acts in ways that make that claim extremely dubious, is Andrew Tate, who is probably the most popular person in this space. Tate made a good portion of his vast amounts of money through his cam girl business, which is demonstrably as bad as OnlyFans and any other kind of pornography. He constantly talks about his Islamic faith and constantly pays lip service to God, but crucially, has never, not even once, denounced his cam girl business, which again, he has made millions off of. In fact, whenever you see him talk about it, he's openly praising it and celebrating the fact that he made millions off of being a digital pimp and corrupting the souls of men. Yeah, sure, whatever, Andrew Tate is great, but in Islam, which he so fervently claims to support, pornography is strictly prohibited, separates you from God, and for that reason can indirectly send you to hell. Remember, it seriously puts one's faith into question when they can show belief when it's easy or convenient, but not show it when it's inconvenient for them. This dichotomy of either not believing in God at all or believing in God is repeated throughout literally all of the manosphere. One would be pressed to find someone in this space who truly values God over everything else, which again is what religion calls us to do. If one claims to be religious but does not value the will and laws of God over everything else, they are either lying or display some major cognitive dissonance. You can see this phenomenon in a smaller form in seeing these people's reasons for converting to theism, or more specifically, the new hip and cool religion that everyone seems to be clamoring for, Islam. Like I said before, the existence of God is the most important thing that a person consider in their entire life. It will affect the entirety of their lives going forward, including in eternity. One should be crystally, unmistakably clear if any religion is true, and then which religion is true, so one should examine as much evidence as they possibly can over the course of their entire lives in order to find and defend a conclusion. You have to make sure that you have the right, true, most sound reasoning for why you believe what you believe. This is why it is so absolutely annoying to hear these people talk about why they converted to Islam. It's never like, I had a religious experience, or I was convinced by the evidence. It's pretty much always arguments like, oh, well, I don't understand the Trinity. Well, Muslim countries are way more based than Christian countries, and also Muslim is way more based than Christian countries. Like really, like compare these to Christianity, specifically Catholicism, which has dozens of scientifically and historically verifiable miracles attributed to it. This is the crux of the problem that the space has, and again, it is the entire space without exception that has this problem. If God weren't real, then like every other thing in this world, none of this would matter. But seeing as God is real, which again, a lot of these people seem to push for and admit, subordinating him to an afterthought is one of the worst things that people could possibly do. All religious people, and especially true Christians, need to start holding these people accountable for doing this. These people have a massive amount of influence on young men, and for that influence to be wasted on vanity and the spoils of this world would be, and is, a massive travesty. If there could be a message to this video, it would be that above all other pursuits, you need to further your relationship with God, and the only way to do that is through His holy, true, and apostolic Catholic Church. Yeah, it's not as badass or sexy as like driving around in a Porsche or going to Dubai and having sex with succubi, but when you die, it will be infinitely worth it. So subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I truly hope that you have a blessed day. Have a good one.